Hello guys, welcome to my SQL series on Learn In. My name is Nse. Today we are going to talk about refining selections. Refining selections involves using additional clauses to filter and narrow down the data retrieved from the database. It basically allows you to further control the results that you get from your selections. Let's see some of these clauses and how they work. So in the command line client, I'll enter my password and I'm going to select the database to use. I'll say use bookstore. I still have the bookstore database. And let's show tables. So these are the tables that we currently have in the bookstore database. Let's use the employees table. I want to add more values to the employees table to better show how selections can be refined. So these values, I already have them typed here in Workbench just for convenience. So I will copy this whole query and I'll paste it here. This usual warning pops up, but I'll paste anyway. This query is inserting into employees the first name column of the table, the last name column, and the age column. These are the values that each of the rows should contain. Hans, last name Fred, age 34. First name Denise, last name Fuji, age 45. All the way down to where we have Corey as first name, last name Graham, and age 42. So I will hit enter to execute this query. It says query OK, 13 rows affected. So let's select staff from employees. And this is how the table looks now. We have 19 rows with these 4 columns: the ID column, the first name column, last name column, and the age column. Now let's start with the clauses. And we are talking about clauses because refining selections is basically using additional clauses to filter and narrow down the data retrieved from the database. One of these clauses is the distinct clause. The distinct clause is used in a select statement to retrieve unique values from a column, thereby eliminating any duplicate entries. Now let's head back to the command line client and see how to use the distinct clause. Basic syntax is select distinct column, the column name that's to be considered, then you have from, and then the table. So let's say select distinct. Let's use the age column from the table, which is employees, semicolon. Let's hit enter. Now notice that we have returned to us only 9 rows, but in the table we have 19 rows. Because we are using the distinct clause on the age column, we have 9 rows returned. And that's because in the age column of our table, it is only 9 values that are unique. If you look closely, you will see that some of these age values are repeated. Like we have 30 on row 1. We have 30 again on row 5. We have another 30 on row 11. I think that's all the 30 we have. And if we check 35, we have 35 on row 2, We have 35 on row 6 again. We have 35 on row 12. So what this distinct is returning to us is only the unique age values. The ages returned to us do not include any repetitions. Let's write another query. Let's use the last name column from the table employees, semicolon, and enter. Now, in the case of last name, we have 13 rows returned. That means we have only 13 unique last names in our employees table. On the whole table, you can see 19 rows. That means we have 19 values for each of the columns for the ID, first name, last name, and age. The column we are considering now is the last name column, and this means we have 19 last names. Now, out of the 19 last names that we have, it is 13 values that are unique. Some of the last names are repeated. For example, we have Smith on row 2. We have Smith again on row 6. We have Fuji on row 8. We have Fuji again on row 11. We have Fuji again on row 12. And some of these names too are repeated. Now, what is returned to you when the distinct clause is used is only the unique values. So in the case of our last name column, using the distinct clause will ensure that only unique last names are returned in the query results, with any duplicates removed. All the duplicates have been removed, so that's why we are left with 13 last names. Now, if we were to select last name without the distinct clause, then we would have select last name from employees, hit enter. Now, notice that we have all the 19 last names returned. As we can see here, 19 rows are being shown to us. The distinct clause can be helpful in situations where you want to retrieve a list of unique values from a specific column in the table. Let's see another example. This time we will use the concat function. Remember that the concat function combines string values and returns a single string as the result. In this example, we are going to concat the first name and the last name column of our table, and then we will use the distinct clause. So let's have select distinct, and we want to concat first name, last name from the table, which is employees, and we'll end with a semicolon. Now, this query selects distinct concat first name, comma, last name from employees. We'll combine the first name column with the last name column. We need a space in between, so I'll come back and I'll have an opening quote, hit the space bar of my keyboard, I'll have a closing quote and then a comma, so that we will have a space between every first name and every last name. And after the concatenation is done, from the concatenated values, retrieve only the distinct combinations of the full names. Now, at this point, I'm going to have an alias. I would say as full name. If there's going to be space between your naming, then you should wrap it in quotes, just like this. Notice that here I have full space name. That's why I have the quotes around full and name, because I want them to be considered as a single value. Now let's hit enter and notice that we have 17 rows returned. So out of these 19 rows that we have, it is 17 unique values that we get when we concatenate the first name and the last name columns. Let's run this query, this exact same query, but leaving out distinct. So in this case, we would have select concat first name space last name as full name from employees table. So let's execute this query and see what it comes to. Notice now that in this case, we have the concatenated values of all the first names and all the last names in the employees table. So 19 rows have been returned. Whether there are repetitions or not, 19 rows have been returned to us. If we go through this name, you're going to notice that we have Dennis Fuji and another Dennis Fuji. That's a repetition. We also have Maria Jeff and another Maria Jeff. That's a repetition too. So when the distinct clause is used, only unique values are returned. This can be useful when you want to get a unique list of full names from a table, just like we have demonstrated here with the employees table. So we have been able to get unique full names from employees table using the distinct clause with the concat function. I hope that you get the point. The next clause that we want to talk about is order by clause. Order by clause is used to sort the results of a query in a specified order. This order can either be ascending order, in which case you are starting from the least value and going up, or descending order, in which case you will start from the biggest value and go down. So when using order by, you specify the order that you want your data to appear. That's the order we just talked about, either ascending order, that would be from bottom up, or descending order, that would be from top down. The syntax is simply like this: select star from table, order by column. This is in a situation where you want to select all the data in the table. Let's head back to command line client. So here we are going to say select star from table, which is employees, and then we would say order by first name. Let's hit enter to execute this query. I have an error because I didn't type employees correctly, so I'll take that again. Select star from employees. Hopefully I'm correct this time. Order by first name, semicolon, hit enter. So the query select star from employees, order by first name is selecting all columns from the employees table and ordering the results by the first name column in ascending order. Usually when an order is not explicitly specified, like we have in this case, select star from employees, order by first name, after the column we didn't specify whether it should be in ascending order or descending order. When you write it this way, MySQL is going to assume the ascending order and will use the ascending order. That is because the ascending order is the default order. Now the result given back to us is showing all the values in the employees table ordered by the first name column in ascending order. Because the first name column contains letters of alphabet, so this is ordering from A to Z. You can see here that the first name that we have is a name that starts with letter C, and the last name that we have is a name that starts with letter W. We do not have any first name that starts with letter A. We do not have any first name that starts with letter B, but we have one with letter C. That's why the one with letter C is the first name. We have three names starting with letter D, and they come right after the one with letter C. We do not have E, we do not have F, we do not have G, but we have H. So just in that order until all the first names are arranged. Let's see another example. This time we are going to order by the age column. So we would say select star from our table, which is employees, and we want to order by the age column. So we just write age, they end with a semicolon, hit enter. Now notice the arrangement that we have. We have from the list age in our employees table, which is 28, to the oldest age on our employees table, which is 50. Now we wrote all these queries without specifying the order. Let's use the age column again, but this time let's explicitly write that we want it to be in ascending order. Remember, ascending order is from the least to the highest. To denote ascending order, you simply write ASC, just like I have here. It comes right after the column name. You specify whether you want it to be in ascending order or descending order. Considering this query, I have ASC after the age column. So it means I want it to be in ascending order. Let's hit enter to execute. Notice that we still have all the values in our employees table returned, with the ages listed from the least value to the highest value. And that's the exact same thing that we had when we ran this query without specifying ascending. So that goes further to show that the default order is the ascending order. When you do not specify ascending or descending, the result you get will be in ascending order. Let's have the same query, but this time let's say we want it to be in descending order. So to denote descending, you simply write DESC. I know this is similar to the syntax we write when we want to describe a table. We usually have DESC and the table name. But when you have DESC written with order by clause, MySQL understands that in this context you mean descending order. Now let's hit enter to execute the query, and you can see that we have all the values in our employees table returned ordered by age, but in this case the ages are written in descending order. Remember, descending order is from top, you go all the way down to the bottom. In the case of age, the highest value we have is 50, and the least value that we have is 28. So this table has been sorted from the highest age value, which is 50, to the lowest age value, which is 28. There may be cases where you do not want all the data from a table. Maybe you just want a select few columns. Then you do not have to select star. You can simply specify the columns that you want to select. Let's say that we want just the last name and the age column. So we can say select last name, comma, age, and would say from the table name, which is employees, and we want it to be in descending order. So I'll have DESC here, semicolon, and then I'll hit enter. We have an error because I did not include order by, so I'll bring this back and I'll have order by age and hit enter. So notice here that we have only the last name column and the age column shown to us, but with the ages sorted from the largest value to the lowest value. You might see a query that looks like select last name, age. This is specifying the columns that we want to consider from employees, which is our table, and then you have order by, and then you have a numeric value. In this example, we are using 1. So this query means that the values on employees table is being sorted based on the first column specified in this select statement. In this select statement, we have 2 columns specified, last name and age, where last name is the first column and age is the second column. So using 1 here means that we want the result to be sorted based on the last name column. If we instead had 2 here, this would be sorting based on the second column provided here, which is age. Let's execute this query by hitting enter. Now notice that we have the last name column sorted in descending order. That's from letter Z down to letter A. So the first name that we have is a name that starts with letter W, because we do not have a name that starts with Z, we do not have a name that starts with Y, we do not have a name that starts with X. And then the last name is the one that starts with letter C. So that's the order. So this shows that you can use column positions in the order by clause instead of explicitly specifying the column names. And while doing this, the position numbering starts from 1 for the first column in the select statement and 2 for the second column, and so on. In this example, we used 1 because we wanted to sort based on the last name. Last name is the first column provided here. Let's say we had this same query and we decide to order by 2. This 2 now refers to the second column provided here, and that's the age column. If we execute this query, you're going to see that we are back to having values sorted based on age, but in descending order, because that's what we provided here, DESC. The next clause that we want to talk about is the limit clause. The limit clause is used to restrict the number of rows returned by a query. It allows you to specify a limit on the number of rows you want to retrieve from the database results set. Basically, the limit clause helps you to control the number of results you get back. The basic syntax is you have select and you specify the columns that you want from, and then table name, and you specify the limit and provide the number of rows that you want returned. Let's see an example here. let's say select everything, select star from employees, and we are now going to say limit 5 semicolon, hit enter. Notice that we have only the first 5 rows of our employees table shown to us here because the limit that we set is 5. Let's say that we set limit to 2. Notice that we have only 2 rows returned. But the limit clause is often used in combination with the order by clause to control the order in which rows are returned before limiting the result. So this means that order by happens first, and then the result of the order by is returned based on the limit that you set. The syntax with order by looks like this. You'd select star if you want everything, or you specify the columns that you want from table, and you now have order by. You specify the column that you want to order, and then the limit is provided. Here on command line, let's see how that plays out. Let's say that we want everything, select star from employees, and then we would have order by age, and would specify that we want the age to be in descending order, and then we go ahead to provide the limit. Would say limit to 5, have a semicolon and hit enter. Notice that we have 5 rows returned to us: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But within these 5 rows, we have a descending order in the age column because we have specified here that order by age, and let it be in descending order. So the first returned to us is one that has age of 50, and then we have 45 and 42. So that's basically how to use the limit clause. Note that it is essential to use the limit clause carefully, especially when used without the order by clause. Because without proper ordering, you may get inconsistent results, as the database will return the first rows it encounters based on the internal organization, which might not be the ones that you intended. So while using the limit clause, you have to ensure that you construct your query in such a way that it gives the exact results as you intended. I do hope that you found today's lesson helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please say them in the comment section. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Learn In. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.